Hello, hello, welcome. This is a tips and tricks video for the ITB, the Infinite Tree Builder. Basically because I've added a whole bunch of new trees and I figured out a different way of adding leaves to the tree, which I think is way more effective because this is an English oak that uses the new trees, the new leaves, sorry, and it's just much thicker canopy, much fluffier, healthier looking thing. It does add a slight hit to the viewport, even in viewport edit mode, there's still a slight hit. If that performance hit is too much while you're editing, just select the leaves and hide them. And then it's all back to 60 frames, whatever it is. So normally if I'm adding these, if I'm taking too much of a hit, I'll just hide the leaves and then they're being hidden in the viewport by pressing H, but they're still going to render. So even rendering this tree like this, it's going to have the leaves. It's just for editing that I'm going to hide them. Right, and let me explain how these new leaves work, because there's a couple of things you need to know. When you append a tree, you'll see some of them, quite a few of them now, have this new leaf technique, and you'll likely, well, you won't see it. But if you go into the hierarchy of whatever tree it is, and you will find the leaves. So this leaves on the second level is these leaves, and there's no material because they're instancing this one single leaf down here, which I've got unselectable. So this, if I show you that leaf, it's just a bunch of oak leaves. But again, when using a sapling, for every leaf it attaches, it's now technically adding 3 leaves, hence why it looks fatter, and hence adds a little bit more to the requirements for the viewport. But they just look awesome, so I like it. If you want to duplicate this tree, before any tree that doesn't use this technique, you can just select the tree and duplicate it, bosh, job done. But when the leaves are being instanced, if you move the instance or the object they're instancing, everything moves. So you need to select everything, including the leaves, and then if you were to duplicate that one, then these leaves, when they load, these leaves are instancing this one, rather than if I hadn't have duplicated that, these leaves would be trying to instance this one, which means it'd be here. So you have to duplicate that as well. And again, as a reminder, these aren't visible in render, and I'll show you why. If I select the leaves over here in object properties, under instancing, I've unticked viewport and render. They're still in the viewport, it doesn't make sense, but they're definitely not going to render. So whatever you see, these leaves, if they're there, they're not going to render. To hide them, you can just hide them like that. There we go. I believe default they're both hidden and unselectable, so you just need to collapse the tree hierarchy to find them if you need to edit them. And the reason that some of them are large, some of these little leaves that are being instanced are massive because of a strange thing to do with the sapling tree generator when using what's called duplicates, but you don't need to know that right now. I'm going to do another video later. So that's the leaves. I'm going to turn that off. The second last thing to talk about is now some of the trees have little buds. Like this is a cockspur hawthorn, so in the middle of all the leaves, mostly, there are these little flowery bits. And I'm going to show you, if you wanted to make a load of these trees and you're fed up of, and you've done too many, just copy and then rotate to make it look different and scaled, whatever. I'll show you the process of making this whole thing same species different. So if I can just delete that. If I delete the cockspur, and we're left with, this is the leaf that it's instancing, and these are the little buds. Again, both of them aren't selectable because I've turned them off from being selectable in the viewport, but I could just simply turn them on. So that's the leaf, and they're the birds or berries, whatever you want to call them, but I don't need to select them. When you're instancing, they need to be visible in the viewport. You can turn them off here. Anything that's being instanced, either leaves or buds or walnuts or whatever, fine to turn them off using those. If you turn them off using these, you won't see the leaves on the tree, and they have to be in render mode. So even though these aren't visible in even even though these aren't visible in the render, these two items, they need to be on render in order to see the leaves that are being instanced, if you know what I mean. So make sure these are always still kept on render. Okay, so let's do it. So you're going to want to add a curve, a sapling, and then in your many presets, you want to try and find Cockspur Hawthorn. And to make this a different looking tree, we need to do a couple of things. So random seed, I'm just going to put 100 in there. And then in branch splitting, I'm going to change the second level to 45. So now I know this is different, but I need to remember those because we need to make this twice. The first time we're doing this is to add the buds, the berries. The second time we're doing it is to add the leaves. So there we go. So 100 is the random seed, 45 is the branches. I'm going to add my third level, and now this new leafing technique uses, under leaf shape, there's duplicates, which means you can use an object instead of just a flat plane, just a 2D plane. You can actually make things, which I've done here. It's a bit of a faffy issue making these to make sure they're in the right place, the origins in the right place, but I'm doing another video for that. That's not for here. So there we go. I've got that set up. If I show leaves, you can see duplicates. The leaf object is birds, which is here. The next time I do it, we're going to use the leaves, but I've got the buds. So there's my buds, and I've made the mistake of adding 100. When you're doing the objects, just put that to 1. 100 is the amount of leaves per segment we're going to use, but I only want 1. So that's it. Okay. Once I'm happy with that, I will then delete the tree, leaving these bits, and then I'm going to add another one back to here, and then put in another Cockspur Hawthorn, and we're going to put in the same settings we did before. So random seed was 100, and this is so that the leaves match up with the shape that the buds used. And then branch splitting, we had 45, and then once we hit the third level, this should all line up nice as pie, which it does. There we go. So this time, because we've already got the buds, we're going to change the leaf object to Hawthorn leaves. And again, all this will be they're all in the folder that you append. So Hawthorn leaves, we want 100, show leaves. And there we have it. So all the little buds and things, berries, whatever, they're all nicely lined up. And this looks different. It's a different shape completely, as you've seen, to the default. So that's how you would make a whole bunch of these. You'd make one, change the random seed, change something about it to make it look different. You'd add the buds, delete the tree, keep the buds, and then do the same thing with the same settings, and then add the leaves, and then you will have it will all line up. And it's important to remember you've got to have the same settings, whatever it is. If it's a random seed of 103, you need to make sure it's 103 when you do the leaves as well. And again, these aren't visible in render. They're there. You can hide them in the viewports. You can just find them. There they are. But they're not visible in render. Okay, that's it. I believe that's the lot. Yeah, okay, cool. There's a whole bunch of sapling videos that I'm working on, tutorials and whatnot, on my YouTube channel. So if you haven't subscribed, please do. It'd be nice. It's lovely. So like and subscribe. Very much appreciated. All right, I've been Nick. You've been you. I will see you in the next one. Bye.